Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. We are going to read chapter 21 of Shadows at Jamestown now. Oops. Okay, Shadows at James, chapter 21. Sam and Derek rode their bike right up to the front entrance of the archarium. Sam wasn't sure how they managed to do it without crashing, but it might have had something to do with being forced on the mission to discover the truth. Somehow, solving a mystery was one of the few times he and Derek seemed to be able to work well together. "Should we just march in?" asked Sam. "What if Patrick is there? He might be the one doing the switching. If he catches on to what we're doing, he might get dangerous." "We're just going to have to risk it," answered Derek. "There's no time to sneak around." So that's pretty typical, right? Derek is the risk taker and Sam is always pretty scared to do things. He opened the door and they walked into the lobby. "Besides, this shouldn't take long. You just have to compare the pictures to the vase in the display case, right?" "Right. Okay, then let's do it." Despite Derek's plan, Sam still kept a lookout for Patrick. He truthfully didn't know if Patrick, Marcus, Grace, or maybe even someone they hadn't suspected was stealing the artifacts. Not knowing who to worry made him nervous. What else is new? This guy is always nervous, right? When they tried to beat Jerry in the Church Hill mystery, at least they knew early on who they were dealing with. They waved to the woman in the front desk and made a beeline to Sam's vase at the back of the museum. The display case now contained several other artifacts, but it was still roped off. Derek took a quick glance around and then slipped under the barrier and moved right up to the display case. Sam followed, his heart beating fast, worried that Patrick would come around the corner at any time. He knew that they'd have a reasonable excuse, since Patrick already knew that Sam was interested in the vase. But if Patrick really was the culprit, there was no telling what he might do. "Get your phone," whispered Derek. Sam pulled up the phone he'd taken in the lab. Sam pulled up the picture he'd taken in the lab, enlarging the section that showed the sparkles. He held it up close to the glass door He held it up close to the glass door so he could. "See, look at the picture. Right there near the middle. See those sparkles? Now look at the case. No sparkles. It's totally been switched." Derek leaned forward, looking at the picture, then back at the display case. "I think you're right," he said finally, after comparing the two several times. "Those are definitely not the same." "And you're sure this is the right vase?" Sam frowned. "This is my vase, Derek, or at least the one in the picture is. I dug it out of the ground. I'm not going to forget it." "But how could they have copied it so closely?" asked Derek. "Someone would have had to make a whole new vase, paint it, or glaze it, or whatever you do to a vase, and then somehow try to make it look old again?" Sam nodded. "It did seem like a big task. I don't know how they did it, but that's the only explanation I can think of. Caitlin said they make reproductions of things like boats. Maybe they can do it the same way with pottery." Sam's phone buzzed in his hand. He turned it to see a text from Caitlin. His eyes opened wide, and he showed the message to Derek. "I don't believe it," said Derek, shaking his head. "It can't be Grace." Because remember, Caitlin was in the bathroom when she overheard Grace talking really suspiciously in the last chapter. "Well, I don't think Caitlin is going to make that up," said Sam. "There must be a reason that she's saying it's Grace. Either way, Caitlin's following her on the bike to the glass house. We have to help her." He held his phone back up to the vase in the display case. "And now we have proof to show the professor." Sam turned and headed for the door. He wasn't going to wait for Derek to agree with him. He had the proof they needed, and Caitlin had discovered the culprit. He just hoped they could get to her before it was too late. Whatever Grace was involved in, it might be dangerous, and he didn't want to make Caitlin face it alone. Now he felt bad for leaving her back at the museum. Sam sprinted through the lobby and out the front door. He rounded the corner to where they'd parked their bike, but nearly crashed into someone coming up the walkway. "Oh, sorry," cried Sam. Marcus stood there surprised, carrying several bags in his hands. Oh, Sam, where are you off to in such a big hurry?" Sam's mind was racing with the new information and worry for Caitlin. "I have to go to the glass house." Caitlin figured out that Grace has been stealing the artifacts and replacing them with replicas. "I have proof right here on my phone with the picture of my vase." Marcus raised his eyebrows at the news. "Are you sure about that?" Sam nodded excitedly. "I took a picture in the lab, and the vase that's in the display case inside is not the same one at the lab. Grace switched the two of them, just like the fake artifact at the Smithsonian. We're going to show it to the professor." "You took a picture in the lab? My lab?" Marcus asked, his face looking like he'd just been stabbed in the heart. Sam realized he shouldn't have said anything about the picture, since Marcus had told him not to take it. But the words were just spilling out of his mouth. The truth was too important. Even though he had broken a rule, it was worth it now. Derek came out the door behind them and continued over to the bike. "Come on, Sam, let's go." "Sorry about that, Marcus," said Sam, but I gotta go. I'll tell you more after we save Caitlin and get the professor." He hurried over to Derek and the bike. They quickly pushed off and tore across the grass toward the glass house. All right, that's chapter 21. Now go to the Google Docs to do the activity. Bye.